Welcome, one and all, to the Good Shit Podcast. We are your hosts. I'm Oscar Cifuentes.
I'm DJ Sutherland, DSPN.
I'm Barasque Vasquez no fondo, so.
I'm Noah Griffith, the mind, the man, the myth, and the legend.
Attaboy.
And I am Anthony Ferrara, the wild card.
Yeah, let's call him the wild
We're off to a
card.
great start, guys.
Yeah, this is off to a great start. Obviously, if
5
you can't
seconds
tell,
of
this is our
intros in.
this is our very first episode. If you haven't taken notice of that yet, but let's just dive right into it. So
we all have history about doing shows together.
Oh yes, we all have history with these shows, and we all have history watching wrestling for some of us for years at a time, even if it's days at a time. We've all got opinions on all this stuff. So
some of it's pretty good, some of it's really bad.
kind of like Vince's mindset.
We got.
You like to think we're educated enough to talk about wrestling.
Hence why we started this podcast. So we're just gonna dive right into it. So last night we had AEW Dynamite for the first time since this pandemic started. I'm not trying to use a certain word. So for the first time at Daly's Place in 6 weeks?
It's about a good month and a half. Yeah, 6 weeks.
That. Yeah, about six.
Yeah,
six, 7
6 weeks since they've been in Jacksonville, Florida. And my opinion, I thought it was an awesome show. What did you guys think of it?
I really enjoyed it too. I thought it was pretty good top to bottom.
I thought it was pretty phenomenal taking the first live show that you have back and you just don't even miss a step. I mean, everything was – and in terms to how production-wise it went, everything else was perfect. Individual matches, though, we'll save that. But
yeah, we'll get to that in a second.
Yeah.
I think it flowed well. I mean, I was very surprised, the fact that, it was taped about 6-7 weeks and then you come back to being a live show. Mm-hmm. I was like, this is pretty good, and then I loved how they had the wrestlers in the background as
their audience,
as their audience. Seeing Billy Gunn, just be talking to Omega, be like, "Great job, Kenny! Great job, Kenny!" And then just seeing him,
actually
I'm
had a few actual people there too.
I saw that in the main event in what's called the main event scene. But yeah, we'll get to that in a sec. But I didn't think we heard from Skeeves. What do you think of the show, brother?
I think from start to finish, it was absolutely phenomenal. The main event was one of the best street fights I've ever seen in my life. I mean, just the interaction between Moxley and Brody Lee, it's doesn't get any better than that. Old WWE superstars both competing at a high level, because don't forget, Brody Lee never got a shot at the WWE Championship or the World Heavyweight Championship in WWE. So him challenging Moxley for the pay-per-view in a couple of weeks, I'm so down for that.
Awesome. So let's jump right into it. So we start off with Cody versus Joey Janela. I'll be honest, guys. I miss Joey Janela. I miss so many of them. And I'll say this right now. Joey Janela has got better hair than most chicks I know. So.
Oh Jesus.
He has most hair than most people.
Yeah,
in general.
Most people.
I think there's a lot of things that we need to see. Please, come on.
Hey, man, put that thing back.
I think it was something that we really needed just because that Joey Janela was not on TV for a long time. We definitely been missing him, but this is what happens in AEW when they're literally giving everybody a chance. And when you get a chance, you shine, win or lose.
Exactly. And Joey actually got his chance tonight and, against Cody, who's been, just giving and giving and giving since this promotion started. He hasn't been he hasn't been very selfish in his matches. He goes back and forth. He's basically with anybody he steps in the ring with, he has very good chemistry with. And I don't know if it's just something that's God-given or he's worked with them all in the past or if he's just practiced with them. Either way, he comes off very well in these matches.
I think when you got your father as the American Dream, Dusty Rhodes, I think you got pretty much a good sense of the business in the ring and outside of the ring. Especially, too, when you're dealing with critics that will say that AEW is like WCW, where all the WWE rejects go. But it's look how they're doing so far. Look how one guy or the 4 guys that are in charge are not throwing themselves on TV and making themselves the stars every week. I mean,
exactly.
Enough for itself.
You don't hear too many complaints.
No complaints at all.
Nope.
Not
I'm not
one.
complaining. They're all fans.
Again, everything flows. Everyone's balanced together. There's no higher star. Granted, we got Cody, the Young Bucks, Kenny, John Moxley, obviously, as our AEW World Champion. We got Brody Lee. But if everyone feels like they're on a level playing field, with Vince and other aspects of his company. Not everybody was like that. There was a tier system. Like, we even got that stupid climb the corporate ladder for Money in the Bank. Like AEW, it's not like that. It's all level playing field. I love that.
Yeah. So, what'd you guys think of the match though between Cody and Joey Janela? Because I thought
it was really good. It was really back and forth. Like, both guys got their stuff in. Both guys shined. Cody always puts people over and makes them look good in their matches, but he also knows that he got to get his stuff in too. And I thought it was a really good match.
It's also a refreshing match, especially when you see Janela's just always doing some type of hardcore match. And you just want to see him in just a regular atmosphere. Not his regular atmosphere, in a regular atmosphere, So
kind of like a normal paced match, nothing too extreme, but at the same time, nothing that drags on.
It's like, yeah, you could be the Sandman, but I want to see you really be like Daniel Bryan.
Yeah, you gotta have some technical wrestling as well as like willing to put your body through some stuff.
One of the best things I like about Cody doing when he wrestles other people, like, he gives them the opportunity to show off their talent. But I don't know if you guys realize this, but sometimes in a match, Cody always has like a wow factor. Like, the other opponent would do something or he'll do something. He's always like shocked that it actually worked.
I've noticed that a couple times. Cause like what's it called? What was it? His last match with Darby? He tried to pull off the coffin drop, and like obviously it failed. But like you actually see his reaction to like, oh crap, I probably shouldn't have done that. And then like he tries when I feel like he gets shocked every time he pulls off the Cody cutter. So
I think he keeps
that out of nowhere.
What were you saying, Farrar?
I said he kind of like surprises himself at a point, like sometimes.
Yeah, but all in all, I'd say that was a good start. Maybe we could have shortened the match a little bit, maybe like by a few minutes. But all in all, that was a great start to a great night.
Yeah, it was a good match. Like I said, it was a good flow to it. I mean, it was a great like appetizer for the main event.
Yeah,
it's a great appetizer.
So after that, we had Nyla Rose cutting a promo. She had been gone for some time. I've been reading a lot, and like seeing some videos where they say she's kind of like, what's it called? It's her reign as AEW Women's Champion isn't as special as it should be.
It's bland. It's boring.
I would give her the chance though, because I'm not going to attribute it to the fact that she's not good. I would attribute it to the fact that in 6 weeks you're doing taped wrestling shows, and there's only so much that you can do. And like, wasn't she only on it like one at a times? I can't even remember, if at all.
I think she was on their last show at Daly's place. After that, she was just gone. Excuse me.
Yeah. So this is going to do a lot. So like, even when Moxley's reign, like this is the only time where I'd say it's acceptable to forget what's going on at AEW, because everybody's watching, but at the same time, people are concerned with the pandemic. So
not to mention the fact that they've had to like change whatever storylines they've had, because I know y'all were supposed to go to Blood and Guts in New Jersey, and they had to scrap that. They had to scrap that day, and we had 6 weeks of tape shows. So you can imagine for them trying to like scramble to like, put together not new storylines, but like kind of alter what they had to what they could work with. So,
retweet if you cry every time.
Sorry if I brought up some bad memories, but I couldn't afford the tickets, so I have no problem mentioning it.
That's okay.
No, but the thing with Blood and Guts is, as much as we wanted to go, but during the pandemic, our show got rescheduled to July. But I doubt that July show is going to happen. But they're still leading up the feud between the Inner Circle with the Hardys, Omega, Cody, and everybody else. But they're trying to build up, so maybe when things do clear up, they can have that Blood and Guts match live and have some fans in the.
Also, a little note, I like the fact that Matt Hardy is not in a circle or aligning to be some sort of thing with the Inner Circle. He's still his own entity, if you would say. Stay that way.
Absolutely. Well, we'll get to Matt Hardy in a minute. So we had Sean Spears cutting a good promo about how Lance Archer just destroyed Dustin Rhodes, and it was all Cody's fault for not throwing in the towel. I'll say this: when I saw Lance Archer just batter Dustin Rhodes, it kind of gave me that. Y'all remember that scene in Rocky IV when
Mm-hmm.
when Apollo
Yeah.
was fighting Drago. That's kind of the vibe I got from that match, from like the ending.
You
It's
know,
like,
it's funny. It's funny that you mentioned that. The vibe that I was feeling from that match was Drago versus Creed.
so yeah, basically the same thing though. Like, yeah,
Yeah, same thing.
like
It was just
like a Drago boxing match from Rocky. It was basically the vibe we got from Lance Archer and Dustin Rhodes. But yeah, Sean was saying that like if he had a brother and he was being tortured and battered, that he would have thrown the towel in and just blaming Cody for what happened to Dustin, saying that he wants to be the only one that continues the Rhodes legacy. I was like, wow. Sean Spears is just hammering away. Where was this before? Like, where was this Sean Spears before?
And how ironic that he was the number 10 and he was nothing more but just dialed down to 0. And now he's in AEW. It's much more of a 10.
He's
now he's
bounced up to
actually
a
a 10.
20.
Now he's actually a 10.
He's a 20.
It's not just a gimmick.
He's the chairman.
Oh yeah.
now they need to push him a little more to get some wins underneath his belt. I kind of feel like he's been lost in the sauce, in AEW, and especially with these new guys, new people that are coming in eventually. I feel like if they don't really build him up even more, because he could be a threat in the mid card scene.
Oh, absolutely. I feel like he should be like maybe whoever wins the TNT championship at Double or Nothing. Sean Spears should be maybe not the first guy to go after it, but definitely one of the first guys to go after it.
So think about it like this. Now that you mention it, what if that promo from Sean Spears sets up Cody and Spears for the TNT championship later on down the line?
That's good booking because Cody
That's
can't
great
go after
booking.
the world title anymore. So he's got something he can go after and make his own.
And they already got to establish history.
Mm-hmm.
On top of this promo.
Absolutely.
And then plus you could add Lance Archer to that. Make it a 3-way that you could really heat up the mid card scene just by those 3 guys' names alone.
Then
you got MJF.
What's it called? Let's throw Darby Allin because you saw a segment with him where he was being interviewed by Taz, and Taz offered his services to like manage him, and Darby just walked off. But I'm like, Darby's a lone wolf. Let's put it that way. That's what his character is best for. But when you're getting offered services from Taz, wouldn't y'all take it though?
I would. And even
he didn't deny Taz technically. He didn't answer him either, but he didn't deny him.
He didn't accept him either.
Well, the commentator they put over good. They were like, "You rejected Taz? Who the hell rejects Taz? What's wrong with you?" And that was a good note.
Yeah. But,
wait, is MJF still hurt?
No,
well, actually,
back next week.
I'm glad you actually mentioned MJF because he did cut his little promo. Obviously, it was in front of a green screen. I don't know if you guys noticed it.
Oh, definitely.
He's sitting on his throne, sipping his wine, talking about he was saying how all these new talent, even though they're in their 30s, are like saying that they're the next big thing, and he's only 24 and he's getting compared to legends. He was obviously in a mocking way. He's like, oh, he's no Rock, he's no Flair, he's no who was the other one? I'm trying to think.
Cena or Stone Cold?
No, not Cena, not Stone Cold.
Michaels.
Piper.
Yeah, Roddy Piper.
Roddy Piper.
That's a good comparison. I didn't think of that.
Yeah. So he to the fact that he's getting compared to all these legends, or at least saying, oh, he's not like them, and he's basically saying he's better than all of them. Saying he's got more talent in his pinky than most people do in their entire body. I thought that was awesome. MJF is, he's an up and comer, but he's got the promo skills of a legend. You know what I mean?
He also too, I think it goes good with the gimmick with the ring when he won the ring.
Oh, that every time he kisses the ring, I'm like, you
really letting that gimmick go.
It's that thing where as a heel you want to hate him so much, but because he's so good at it, you can't.
You gotta respect it.
Exactly.
I can honestly see at Double or Nothing, they can put MJF in a match against a jobber or anything, and all of a sudden the lights go out and the free EC3 gimmick comes out.
That wouldn't be a bad idea. Well, he's actually scheduled for a match at Double or Nothing. He's going up against Jungle Boy, So I feel like that's a good match because Jungle Boy's another great athlete. You know, he's quick, he's agile, and he's very athletic, especially for talents as young as he is.
Mm-hmm.
Just get looked down upon a lot, Jungle Boy. Nobody gets a lot
absolutely.
of credit.
He's very underrated as a talent. But,
well, when you stand next to Luchasaurus, it's very easy to get underrated.
Well, that's true, but he's still,
underrated.
he's still growing. This is, he's been on the Indies for a few years now. This is, and he was. I remember watching what's it called, the Road to Double or Nothing. When they first came out, and I remember that video of Jungle Boy was like one of their first phone calls. So I was like, okay, so this guy must be good if Cody considered him on the spot. So.
Mm-hmm.
But, moving on, we had Frankie Kazarian against Jon Moxley. That one was a pretty good match. Frankie, the veteran, and Jon Moxley, the what's the word for it? A wild champion, if you will. The wild card, as Ferraro calls himself. So, very back and forth between Kaz and Mox. All over the place, and a lot of good technical wrestling. A lot of mat work. Between Mox and Kaz.
It was also very hard hitting. Like I felt some of those chops.
That was brutal. I was like, I had to look underneath my shirt. I was like, oh my goodness.
Facts. I felt it.
Like just one where it just hit. I was like, oh. Ooh.
Like that first chop that they delivered, it was. Ooh.
I just like watching Moxley wrestle because it's just like, even when he was in WWE, nothing phases him. He's the type that's like, I like it. Give me more.
Yeah, that's kind of how his whole thing is. It's just like he's not afraid of taking pain, and like it actually brings him joy to like take as much pain as he can give. So the match was very good. What happened after the match, though, I felt like was even better. So before Moxley gets the win against Kaz with an out of nowhere paradigm shift, and all of a sudden we had 7 masked Dark Order members just come and ambush him, just beat the living crap out of him. And then, Brody Lee in his mock Vince attire just comes out and cuts.
Well,
probably
before
one of
that,
the
SCU
best.
came out to try and save him.
Well, yeah, SCU
they
did try to.
To.
Yeah, SCU did try to help him, but they got their asses handed to them as well.
On a silver platter.
Oh yeah, and then Brody Lee comes out, all Vince suits and all, and just cuts probably one of the best promos I've heard in so long.
And then Moxley said, all you did have to do is ask.
Yeah, but I want to touch on some points that, from his promo that kind of like got me like, oh crap, this is like this is for real. So for one line I love so much is, I quote unquote, I have so much that you desire, and I am certainly not the same person that used to look eye to eye with you in the past. Now, that one was like, oh crap, because obviously he was referring to their time in WWE, Shield versus the Wyatts, which was probably one of the best 6-man rivalries I've ever seen.
Mm-hmm.
So the fact that he brings up all this stuff from his past like it's nothing, that's like what makes his gimmick even better as the Exalted One. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
It's a lot of history to backtrack. And right now it's got something good because Brody Lee can walk into this and he can either walk out with champion or walk out with nothing. And as it's early to give somebody like him a title shot, it does give him something to gain, even if he doesn't walk away.
That's the question I was going to ask you guys. Don't you think it's a little too early?
Yes, it is. And actually,
I was watching. I was going to say.
Early.
I was going to say, and I was watching JD earlier this morning. If you guys don't know who JD is, very good podcast. You guys should check him out. JD from NY206. Check him out. We listen to this guy like he's God, basically, when it comes to wrestling.
IWC Messiah.
Yes, the IWC Messiah. Check him out. It's a good listen. But, he was saying that they kind of booked themselves into a corner because, with Brody, he's such a strong character that you can't really have him lose. Otherwise, his character means nothing, and all the buildup they did, it'll just diminish. And then, you can't have Mox lose either because, he doesn't have, his title reign isn't what it should be, because of everything that's going on. So, they kind of did book themselves into a corner unless they have like a twist finish that they want to do.
I think they
Honestly,
have to go that way.
I was
I
gonna
think-
honestly say that because either SCU is gonna come and cause a disqualification against Brody Lee.
But I feel like a disqualification would be such a fuck finish, though. Like,
They have to do it.
It
Neither of
would.
them can lose.
It would, but it would build the story out even further. Create a longer intrigue.
What bothers me is just the fact that what is it? Okay, this is the week of the 6th. What bothers me a little bit is like, listen, I will give these people the benefit of the doubt. Okay, it's not a big deal. Like whatever. What my concern is that Brody Lee, okay, Brody Lee's in the rankings of the top 5, and he just got a title shot. So technically, it does make sense for him to go. However, Lee is also tied with Kenny Omega and Lance Archer. So it would technically be a fatal 4-way for the title, to be honest.
well, if they go that route, so
yeah. But to be honest, though, the rankings go as follows as of May 6th. Cody is 8-1 in 2020. Lance Archer is 4-0. Kenny Omega is 4-0, and Brody Lee is 4-0. So I'm like, And the overalls are 4-0, 27, and 4-0. And then Darby Allin's not that far behind with 5-3. So the way they have it, Lance Archer should be up next, unless we'll see how this goes. Maybe Lance.
Well, I feel like because he's part of the TNT Championship tournament, they're not using him just yet. But I feel like they're gonna keep. If he doesn't win, they'll probably just put him in the rankings for the TNT Championship and just erase his. Well, not erase it, but just take his spot off the World Championship rankings. If that's how they go, because we don't know how these rankings are gonna go.
Well, Moxley right now.
If you really look at it, Brody Lee's first real opponent is going to be Jon Moxley because he did go up against Jobbers the last couple of matches he had. So,
yeah, Jobbers and Marco Stunt, basically.
So it's not really competition. But Moxley's going to be his first ever real competition, and it's going to be for the championship.
Unless they build that rivalry between Brody and Mox. And, maybe eventually down the road give it to Brody, or if they just keep it on Mox. But what's that going to do for the Dark Order in the Exalted One gimmick?
Might kill it.
I think it's kind of like a Hager situation.
But, we'll see. We'll see what happens. But moving on, we had a nice little promo by Brandy Rhodes, delivering a message to Jake Roberts, just, saying that, she's studying him, or he's studying her, one or the other. I forget where it goes. That at this point, that they corner her just to trap Cody into like coming to her rescue. And the one line that she said that I was just like, oh boy, okay, so she might actually have a role in this. It's just, she says, "Don't fuck with people you don't know."
That's the line she said. Like her mother always told her. Don't. Yeah. Oh, that was great.
That was a good one.
And look what happened. Look what happened later. That's why I just had my hand in my head like this.
Yeah. In case you're wondering what happened to her, well, QT Marshall went up against Lance Archer, got his ass handed to him, and Jake did something that we probably haven't seen, that most fans haven't seen in 20 years now. He brings out the snake and lays it on Brandy Rhodes' body. I was like, oh God, they're letting this happen. I thought, as a fan being so late to the party, I didn't think I'd ever see Jake the Snake do something like that. I've only been watching for so many years, and I've had to do my history homework, and I've seen clips of Jake Roberts putting the snake on his opponent's bodies, but I never thought I'd see it live, and the fact that I did last night, I was in shock. I was like, yes.
There is some trivia for you as I'm looking it up because I have to make sure. Jake the Snake Roberts did that last night, and that was the first time that he has done that since, I think, about 7 years. Because I remember there was a segment that he did with The Shield. I think it was 2003. Yes, it was 2000. Actually, it was 2004. No, 2014. It was 6 years ago. It was right before the Royal Rumble. It was one of their old schools. And this was one of the Shield's matches against CM Punk. I don't know if it was a jump or if it just was a 3-on-1 or was one of them, but Jake the Snake came out and they were inducting him that year into the Hall of Fame. And instead of having him go into the Royal Rumble, they had him do that appearance just to go in and see them. And then they told him, you're going to the Royal Rumble. So it's been 6 years since we've seen a snake pulled out of the boot or the bag.
But the fact that he did it, on an unconscious opponent, on somebody that he doesn't respect, that he doesn't like, and just somebody he downright despises. Fans haven't seen that. Yeah, fans haven't seen
he's done it to a woman.
Yeah, that was also a shock.
Not even Miss Elizabeth got a snake. She got Randy Savage.
What set it up was Brandy took Britt Baker's shoe from.
Yeah, I thought that was pretty funny.
Brandy kind of got handed low-key. Brandy might be a quarterback somewhere.
Yeah, Britt Baker been getting funny, man. Especially when she had me out on the ringside and people be coming out and she just jamming. She's like,
They're starting to settle into her heel role.
So, anyway, moving on from this. So we've had a few matches announced for Double or Nothing. We have Cody versus Lance Archer for the TNT Championship. We have MJF going against Jungle Boy, and now they were announcing that there will be a casino ladder match for a future AEW World Title opportunity. So the participants have been yet to be. Let me get my word. Have yet to be determined. Yes. So, but the fact that they're doing a ladder match for a future world championship opportunity, that's pretty. I'm actually excited for that because
they're going to show WWE how to do their own match.
Yeah.
Yeah, let's put it that way. They're going to show them how to do Money in the Bank properly.
Refresh my memory. How many people did they say were going to be in that ladder match?
For WWE, there's 6.
No, not that. Not that.
Oh no, they haven't said how many participants are going to be in that match, but they just announced it. They just announced the match itself.
Okay, so if it's going to be the world title, I'm going to go on a limb say right now that whether or not Lance Archer wins that title match, he'll be in it. But I want to take him out. But Kenny, no, who is it? No, I'm sorry, Brody Lee. But Lance Archer, Kenny Omega, and Darby Allin will definitely be in it because they're in the top 5 of the rankings.
Oh, Archer got a match already.
Yes, but
unless he takes somebody out, like pull some edge shit and just take somebody out and insert.
When is that ladder match though? Is that when Double or Nothing happens?
Yes, that's part of the Double Nothing card.
Oh, okay, so then let's put Darby Allin in there with Kenny. Oh no, Kenny's a tag team champion. Wow, this whole thing is.
It feels very confusing.
I'm just gonna say this with that ladder match. I could see it being the second to last match to have like a little break in between until the end of the championship match. But if Lance Archer loses, you can count him in it because he's ruthless.
Yes.
And you can you can count Jericho and Matt Hardy in that match as well because they're all down for the ladder matches.
Yeah, that's a good point.
We have to see what match goes first because it's either Brody Lee takes somebody out or Lance Archer takes somebody out.
Very true. Finally, guys, the main event: Les Sex Gods, Chris Jericho and Sammy Guevara against Kenny Omega, and for the first time in AEW, Broken Matt Hardy in a tag team street fight. This was probably one of the best street fights I have ever seen since I started watching.
I had not been entertained by a street fight in so long. I can't even count the amount of street fights that I've seen. The last one I can recall being really, really good, well, 2 actually, both in 2008, which was the one between Umaga and Jeff Hardy, and technically, but it was more labeled as an unsanctioned match, which was between Shawn Michaels and Chris Jericho. Whew.
That's a problem when the last good street fight has been 12 years ago.
Yep.
That's a problem.
That's
all right. So let's go through the match. So we have, Sammy and Chris coming out. Kenny comes out, and then Matt comes out and kind of like a body armor type of thing and they start off the match, and then Chris Jericho just kind of goes one-on-one with Matt, sends him to the back, and what happens? 5 minutes later, Matt comes out. A lot of people were saying it was V1 Matt, but I saw that as Team Extreme Matt. You know what I mean? Like he had that first Hardy's attire that I remember seeing, back his Attitude Era days.
Yeah, it was kind of like the fishnet, kind of like what Jeff wears now, similarly still.
Yeah, but he wrestled for that in what a 20 not 20 minutes, 15 minutes in there.
Yeah, just about. Yeah,
about throwing side effects everywhere.
Oh yeah, delivering side
And
effects.
I was like, somebody give it a name or somebody say something. And they're like, oh, look, the cutter. And the twist of fate, too. Oh, look at the cutter. And I'm like,
yeah.
give me a
But
name.
the thing is, like, I feel like they've just eliminated the whole twist of fate, the whole twist of fate name in general. Because even on SmackDown, when Jeff was pulling it off, they called it like I forget what it was. It's like a twist of fear or something like that.
Yeah.
Like just eliminated it in general. Just like Tony Schiavone was just calling it a cutter. And I'm like, they own the rights to the name. Just use it. Like, what are they gonna do? Come after you? Like, it's Matt and Jeff's moves. They both own the rights to it. Just say the name.
But at the same time, it might be a copyright battle with WWE because they're on a spree right now, just copyrighting anything.
Well, WWE ain't really got the financial power to go into another lawsuit, so I don't know if that's a road they want to go down.
Yeah. Well, either way, we saw Matt, battle in his Team Extreme outfit for about 15 minutes, and then Hager and Jericho shove him into an ice box inside the the backstage at Daly's place, or is it what's the name of the Jaguar Stadium?
They might have actually been inside TIAA at that
TIAA.
It wasn't TIAA, yes.
It was still Daly's
TIAA
place?
field. So they shove him in there, and Kenny's on his own for maybe about 10 minutes, and then Matt comes out, and he's Damascus. So the fact that he's pulling off all these changes during this match was that was probably one of the best things about this street fight, because he basically went through his whole career in this one match. Like, well, obviously not his whole career because they didn't do what's it called though. They didn't.
Oh, speaking of his whole career, we even saw
the V1 mat. They didn't go through a TNA mat.
I'm sorry.
We even saw a Poetry in Motion.
Yeah. This whole everything. It's like I go into an icebox and I come out Jim Carrey. It's like the thing in the world. Like, this dude just goes to the icebox. Yes, I am Damascus. It's like you're aging in there. It's like, what year is it? It's 3005. Oh, okay. Oh, Childish Gambino reference. There you go. It's like he goes in there 3005. I will finish this match. It's like, okay.
And then proceeds to get in a golf cart.
Yeah.
Oh, yo, Sammy Guevara took that hit like he was a GTA character.
Oh my God, they literally.
No, that was Saints Row.
Sammy flew.
That was
put it
Saints
this
Row.
way. He jumped it and he flew. And Kenny pulled off one of the best moonsaults I've ever seen.
Charlotte, take notes.
I have no idea how that was going to go, but him doing it didn't scare me. It was him going up there and then waiting, because Jericho, oh my God, Jake Hager, and who was the other one? Sammy. No, it was actually it was
Sammy
and Matt. Yeah, they had Hardy up, and they're trying to hold him up, and they're like, and when they're waiting for him, and I'm like, what is he gonna do? Is he gonna jump, or is he just gonna fly into it and they get power bombed? I'm like, it's got to be something. Just let me know.
And the thing is, Omega was trying to go on the top rail, but he was
Yeah.
struggling, so he just basically just did the moonsault there.
He just said, "Screw it, I'll do it from here."
Probably
And
for
it
the
still worked
best.
out.
That's how it worked out.
And how tall did he, or how high did he go on that scissor lift? That was a good like 15, 20 feet.
I want to say 12. I want to say like.
I don't know. I might be
maybe
exaggerating
15.
it.
No, maybe
We got
15.
our resident architect over here.
No, but nothing. No, WWE under exaggerates. They'll be like, "Oh, the Hell in a Cell ladder is like the Hell in a Cell match, and the cell's like 16 feet." Motherfucker, that's 50. Stop.
I mean,
Did
that's
you guys
a lot of things.
Did you guys hear that this year's WrestleMania was actually sold out? Every seat was
Mm-hmm.
sold.
Like,
They
broke
said
their own
that about ours too.
They broke their own record attendance.
Exactly.
They said that about ours too.
Oh yeah, but what's it called? So Kenny was battling. They had put Matt through two tables, and he was about to do a one-wing angel on Jericho on TIAA field when Santana and Ortiz just ambush him, beat the ever-living hell out of both of them, and Judas Effect and the Inner Circle gets the win. But what I liked about what they did in the ending was they had the Inner Circle logo on the Titantron.
That
awesome.
was sick. That was absolutely sick. I think that's really putting in time investment into little detail where I'm like, you know what? I'm glad I chose this. I'm glad they did that for. Well, it's for them, but I'm glad they did that for me because I appreciate that very much.
No, I think that shows they care. WWE.
Way too much. Way too much.
It was an awesome match and a great way to end their first live show in 6 weeks. So, that was Dynamite. Now we're gonna get into something that some people have been talking about. Kind of something kind of a repetitive cycle that's been going on. When WWE stars ask for their release and then they're granted, and then they end up going on Talk is Jericho and airing their frustrations. This episode of Talk is Jericho, he had the Revival on, or as they will now be referred to as the Revolt. I don't. Well, before we get into it, what do you guys think of that name, the Revolt?
It's a little corny. No, I wouldn't say
Very.
it's corny. It's just
Very.
no. I would say I take that back saying it's corny. I would just say I think there could have been something better, but I will give them. It's not WWE. I will give them the benefit of the doubt. I will also say one thing. I did not listen to it as much. I tried to. I didn't. But I'm kind of glad I didn't because I want to hear from everybody first, who did listen to it, what they said, and then I want to give an outside perspective because I want to look at things on a business standpoint.
Luckily I took some notes down, so I'll be able to point out some things in case you missed it. But what were you going to say, Skips?
So, remember when Moxley did his interview with Jericho?
Yeah.
He basically said he told Vince, I want to do my own thing. You have to let me. And Vince said, yeah, that's good shit, this and that. And he kept showing him different characters. This is what they basically did with the Revival. They knew that the Revival wanted to be gone. So Vince said, the whole thing with the Revival is they wanted to help the tag team. They didn't care about the tag team belts in general. They said they will give you the tag team belts. He's like, we don't want the belts. That means useless because you don't prioritize the tag team division. So Vince basically invited them into his office and says, I got a new plan, this and that. You can do this until you ride out. This was one of the costumes he wanted to do.
Oh yes,
yeah. I was gonna find out
make them look like clowns.
Make them look like clowns, bro.
Or Flavor Flav.
Trying to make them look like white Flavor Flavs with lipstick on them and huge pendants like that. I'm like, what is he doing to them?
That's showing you clearly don't care about the talent. You're trying to embarrass them and be petty on their way out.
Before they even...
Instead of yeah, boy, it's yes, sir.
Yep. But one of the things that they were first talking about was the impact that Dusty Rhodes had on their whole career, which I thought, that was kind of touching. They were talking about how they would sit in Dusty's office eating homemade ice cream, talking about their careers. And Dusty, and the one thing I loved about that they mentioned about Dusty was that he told them to never break up, and the reason being to shove it in Vince's face.
The day that you don't become no more of a tag team, that you are separate, you're going to have one that's Shawn Michaels, another one Marty Jannetty. You see these two motherfucking guineas over here? These guys, they're done. You got a loud mouth and a big boy. You two, stay together because you'll be colder and more solid than the ice cream that sits right in front of you.
All I'm going to say is, Gerard, don't do a North Carolina accent ever again.
Bro, the best thing about that thing...
I forget.
It was Dash or Cash. They said that they were in a meeting and they were doing workouts or anything, and then Dusty just tells them, come here, we have homemade free ice cream. And then Jericho's like, what was his favorite flavor of ice cream? Anything that was free.
So that's the St. John's way. That's where we went. Free is for me.
Yes. Free is the way. But, I love that Dusty never wanted them to break up, and they actually mentioned, I like how you mentioned the whole thing with Shawn Michaels and Marty Jannetty, Gerard, that they were saying that they get offended when people start seeing tag teams as as the Rockers, when they split up, one's going to go on to be like a world champion, be the biggest name in the industry, and one's just going to be, enter oblivion. And they got offended with that, and that's why they decided to stay so strong as a tag team and just never break up and never try to outshine each other, which is another key aspect in their tag team. They never try to outdo each other or even outdo their opponents, which is probably one of the best things you could do as a tag team for your division as well.
I think the best dynamic you can really do is you can take a look, for example, at the New Day. I mean, the New Day started off something sucky, and what do you do when something's bad that and they're trying to be good? You turn it heel. You turn them heel. You turn it back face, bro. Kofi Kingston goes to become world champion while his two buddies in the group go off and become tag team champions. The whole squad is glittering with gold.
Oh yeah.
Like, no, they
I like how you put that.
and you know what? That's not only did they need that specifically, just the way they are, and the need to show that people cannot be off on their own and whatever, and don't let hard feelings come about, but they needed to show, like, yes, this could happen, because it's going to be 5 years that they're together. And they need something like that. And that's good to do that, because you know what? What if they become one of the best tag teams in history by the time they retire? Let's say that I don't know what their new names now, so I'm gonna use the old ones. What if Dawson wants to go and try to be world champion, and then Wilder wants to become intercontinental champion? Why can't they come together and be a successful tag team? There's just so many things that business in wrestling does not let happen, and it's just stupid because it can. Like, you look at UFC, how many champions do you see that are triple fucking belts all over the place? There are more belts than limbs. I mean, come on. Seriously.
I'll just say this. I respect everything they said in that interview. There was, like, no antagonizing WWE whatsoever. They just said they gave us an opportunity. We told them we were serious about leaving. It doesn't matter how much money you give us. We'll just write out our contract, and then we'll go from there. Yeah. But one thing that really stood out is, it is true, WWE does not care about their tag team division.
No.
Look what they had at WrestleMania. You have a triple threat ladder match for the tag team division, or for the tag team titles, but only one competitor from each tag team is basically fighting for those belts. What
It's basically a triple threat ladder match without the tag team
for 2 belts. And that's I'm glad you guys mentioned that. Well, let me let you finish your thought. What were you gonna say, bro?
No, it's just like, for years, WWE's changed the tag team design numerous times. For what? When your boss says he's going to help you out and say, yeah, I'm going to help the tag team division, I'm going to help this and that, they knew from the start that they weren't going to help them out. So that's why they basically said, I'm out of this company. I'll ride my contract, but I know for a fact, I don't care about the tag team goal. I mean, they're useless at this point.
Yeah, and I'm glad you mentioned that, because they also mentioned in the Talk as Jericho that they felt like the tag team titles didn't mean anything. With the examples that they mentioned being that Braun won with a 10-year-old kid at WrestleMania, like that kind of diminishes the title right there. Yeah, and then he loses them, and then there were no matches from the tag team divisions at last year's SummerSlam, aside from the women's tag team, and that's another thing though. That they brought on the women's tag team, like they were all for it, but it was such a last-minute decision that it basically means nothing.
I don't know.
It hindered the credibility of that title.
That had such potential to be something good, but just for some reason, anything that just goes against their agenda, I wouldn't even say agenda like that.
No, that's the correct word.
No, I don't want to be that person, but anything that just goes against their narrative that they want to write, or just against their plan, they got to throw it back in your face. Like, oh, you want women's titles? Okay, we'll give it to you, and then squash.
Word, because you have Bayley and Sasha as your first champions. They could have enhanced the titles, make them. They want to take it to
NXT and battle everybody.
Exactly, they could have battled anybody on any roster, but they decided to have them drop it to the Iconics at WrestleMania, which was probably one of the worst decisions they ever did. I'm glad I walked out on that match.
But you know something?
The worst decision.
But you know what the thing is, though, too? You can take a situation like that. Like, you don't even have people that think. Like, you can think, like, okay, we're going to put it the Iconics. But clearly the Iconics are not up to status pro, just like Bayley and Sasha are. So what can we do? Okay, well, we can give them the titles, and we can let them wrestle and practice down at NXT, where they need the help. A lot less than Nia Jax needs help, but they definitely could use some help. And then you just drop them again.
I'm gonna say that it's a problem if the Iconics are booked better in WWE 2K20 than they are in real life.
Oh my god!
As a tactic.
Well, I would like to get to the that's what you get scenarios with WWE. But
also, the reason the tag titles or any of the tag divisions don't mean anything. Nobody's been built up. Like, sure, you got a number of tag teams, but as WWE's come to showcase over many years, it's more quantity over quality at this point.
Yeah,
Like,
Absolutely.
sure, they might have like 15 tag teams, but you know about 3 of them, and those 3 you don't really know about.
And it's unfortunate because they have so many good wrestlers in their tag team division, and I guess they just don't want anything to do with them. And, they have their releases, and, they were on the fence about it, and they kept repeating to Jericho that, he was their inspiration to, like, go with their gut, do what's best for them, and, go go with what they feel. And, what solidified their decision was, the day their contracts expired and they walked out, they got a text from Bret Hart telling them how proud he was of them. And that basically let them know that they did the right thing. So the fact that Bret Hart gave him their blessing, or gave them his blessing, that'll probably just mean anything to anybody who ever wants to walk out on WWE.
You got to understand something. At the end of the day, Bret Hart might have shook Vince McMahon's hand and said, "I'm sorry." In a perfect world, to Vince, Bret is probably shaking his head. But in a perfect, at the end of the day, Bret Hart can shake Vince McMahon's hand, but at the end of the day, he will definitely be able to say, "Fuck him. He still did that to me. I'm glad I punched him in the face. I'm glad I snubbed him at the Hall of Fame that he chose to invite me to. And anything that's going to be stuck to that man, fuck it. Let it happen. Because it deserves to."
So basically saying that Bret Hart's still holding a grudge, which I don't blame him for, but,
Yeah, if you watch Wrestling Shadows, there was a lot going on at that time. Bret didn't need that. Between his family, his father, Stu Hart, he didn't need all that. And you know what? He could have been with his brother Owen, and they could have been a great tag team, and Dawson and Wilder could have even had something to take after with them. Here's the one thing I want to say with Dawson and Wilder. They can go to AEW, and we can already clutter that tag team division because we got a lot of good tag teams, but we got a lot going on there. And if they're going to focus on tag team wrestling, by God, let it happen. But they're going to have to break something up. Either the Bucks are going to have to hold back a little bit, or Kenny and Paige are going to have to break up and do that feud soon because we got a lot of tag teams in there.
Yeah, there's a good.
Yeah.
And I'm glad you mentioned all these tag teams because they also mentioned some tag teams that they want to face once their contracts expire. And they were saying how they don't want exclusive to AEW contracts. They want those contracts that Mox and who else has one of those contracts where they can just pop up in other promotions.
I think it's Jericho.
Just him and Jericho. Well, they want one of those contracts because they were saying how they wanted to face the North in Impact Wrestling, the Briscoes and Ring of Honor. They wanted to face, in New Japan, Juice Robinson and David Finlay, as well as the Gorillas of Destiny. But the one tag team at the top of their list is the Young Bucks. I feel like the Young Bucks are like the bar of tag team wrestling.
Mm-hmm.
Wow, who remembers
They're the
the bar?
standard bearer.
Yeah.
I was gonna say this about the bar. Isn't it funny that remember when We the People broke up and Cesaro turned on Jack Swagger? And then after teaming up with Heyman, Cesaro's single run lasted a couple of months and then he was into another tag team.
Yeah.
Don't you realize for the last couple of years he's been a tag team wrestler and he hasn't gotten that opportunity he deserves for actual championship?
It's a shame.
He hasn't gotten his opportunity he deserves since he won the U.S. championship.
Yeah.
You keep
And he was Antonio Cesaro.
I want to say something. I want to say something about Cesaro. Cesaro, it's got me furious to watch him as a tag team wrestler. DJ has been next to me when I've shown frustration, literally at live events, because we were there the night after WrestleMania, where the SmackDown after WrestleMania, where we went to go see Cesaro and Sheamus versus the surprise return of the Hardy Brothers.
Yes.
And watching them walk out, no, that was before. And then we were going to, it was a match between them and Drew McIntyre and somebody else. And it's like, Cesaro should be world champ. He should have been fucking world champion 3 times over.
Oh,
he really should be because he's strong as shit. And he don't look like it. And he's like the same thing like Pac. Like, Pac looked buff, but he can go.
Oh, yeah.
Cesaro looked toned, but he's fucking strong, bro.
That was crazy athletic for his height too.
Oh, yeah.
Is
But-
it bad that I wish Cesaro was one of those people released from WWE? So
No, because then he could fly.
I
Yeah.
would want that whole company shut down. Want everybody dispersed where they should go.
No, I'm saying a great scenario would be him going to AEW or any other company, but I say AEW preferably because him and Hager have history. So if it comes to the inner circle, he can join the elite
Cesaro,
and square up against Hager.
Or even join the inner circle. Just,
Cesaro is very much more old school for me. So I would actually rather see him best in NWA. Just like where I don't know what his real name is now, but Damien Sandow's down there.
Aaron Rex.
Yes, Aaron Rex is down there. A bunch of other guys are down there.
Yeah. But
Actually, Sandow won the Money in the Bank.
yeah. But finally, guys, to close this off, we heard rumors and news today that Triple H and Kevin Dunn were selling WWE stock at a combined $2.5 million. Yeah.
Joke.
You heard me correctly. $2.5 million. Hunter was sold over 1 million of his stocks, and Kevin Dunn sold 1.5 million of stocks.
If the boys at the top are selling, that means stuff's going down.
That means something's about to happen that we're all not ready for.
I mean, I wouldn't necessarily jump to that conclusion. Yes, some stuff is going down, but according to Wrestle Talk, yes, we listen to Wrestle Talk as well. They've been very reliable sources. They were saying that them selling this stock is not really something out of the blue. They've been doing this for years now. The last year alone, between Triple H, Kevin Dunn, and Stephanie McMahon, and a few other executives, they sold $160 million worth of stock last July. And even Vince sold some of his stock to fund the XFL back in March of last year. So
Look how that turned out.
Yeah.
Well, to be fair, it's not really their fault.
No, I'm not saying
it was going well before.
It was going well. I was enjoying the XFL.
Same here. I was actually starting to like it. I was like, okay, I like this is a nice alternative.
This is what I was like with me watching XFL. I was actually using the XFL trying to understand football a little more, so that when the NFL season started, I wouldn't look like an idiot.
Well, you also would have had to learn another rule set of football because
I know the rules were different in NFL football as they were in XFL, but it's kind of like a starting point. You know what I mean?
Yeah, it's a good base.
It really wasn't that far off, though, to be honest. I mean,
exactly.
It really was similar to the NFL, but it's just you took out all the goofy shit that there was back in 2002, and it was enjoyable. I went to a game. My boy was working on a ticket and fan experience division for them with Elevate Sports, and unfortunately, with everything that happened, he got let go. And I'm trying to see if there's a way. Where there's a will, there's a way. I want him to hop on that lawsuit that Oliver Luck is pressing against him. Because I feel like he can.
Just trying to suck Vince of all his fortune, basically.
Oh, you know what? You work for the man. You can't fucking sneeze around him. Well, I can't work without him too. So fuck it. Take his money.
Oh boy. Well, thankfully you're not suing Vince McMahon.
I also would like to throw in a nice sneeze in there too, but I might get fucking put in a bubble.
Well, on that note, thank you guys for listening. This has been the Good Shit Podcast. We want to thank you. Subscribe to the channel and like us on Facebook, Instagram, and wherever you can find us. Until next time, I'm Oscar Cifuentes.
I'm Anthony Ferrara.
DJ Sutherland.
Oscar Vasconcelos.
And Noah Griffith.
We will see you guys next week. Thank you.